Well, good evening. It's Atomic Melanie again, and I promised in my earlier video that I would talk a little bit about the odyssey and the adventure that it's been for me to get an insurance approval. First of all, I wanted to tell you about my insurance and what it requires to get approval and to what they cover. I have Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. It's through my husband's work. It's not a state employee's policy. It's just through his company, so it's a regular corporate policy. Bariatric surgery and weight loss treatments are not excluded. They are covered, provided that you meet certain criteria. The surgery that I want to have is the duodenal switch. And what they require is you have to have a BMI of over 50. I think they'll also do it if you have a BMI of over 45, but you have to also prove some comorbidities. Since my BMI is over 50, mine's actually 57, we don't have to go through those steps. So I don't have to show any proof of any comorbidities, things like high blood pressure or diabetes or sleep apnea or high cholesterol or things like that. I don't have to show any evidence of that. But when we submitted our package, we actually did, because I do have high blood pressure and sleep apnea, and I'm not diabetic, but I have high cholesterol and I have joint issues and things like that. I also have polycystic ovarian syndrome. But we didn't have to submit any proof for that. There are some Blue Cross policies I know, like Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Tennessee requires you to do 6 months prior of a medically supervised weight loss program. Blue Cross and Blue Shield North Carolina does not require that. They dropped that requirement sometime in the middle of 2015, so you don't have to do the 6 months anymore. I know certain other insurances require you to submit prior medical history. Some of them even require you to submit 5 years of medical documentation that you've been obese. Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't require that either. And some other insurances require you to show evidence of prior attempts to lose weight, things like having to go to the gym or being in Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or different programs like that. Again, Blue Cross Blue Shield does not require that. So basically, according to their insurance, for me to qualify medically for duodenal switch surgery, all I had to do was show evidence that my BMI is over 50. And we did that. So we were thinking, we've got a slam dunk, right? All we've got to do is send in medical records and I'm in like Flynn, right? Wrong. Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they have requirements as far as the doctor's program. It has to be a AMBS, American Medical Society of Bariatric Surgeons or something like that. It has to be rated a Center of Excellence. It also has to be a Blue Cross Center of Distinction, which they're basically the same. It's just a matter of getting a different group of people to certify it. Part of that involves that the hospital facility has to have bariatric beds and chairs, and the staff has to be specially trained to handle bariatric patients and things like that. The doctor's program also has to require a minimum of 5 years post-op medical and nutritional follow-up. Well, that's where we ran into the problem. My doctor, that he does lifetime follow-up, and he stresses to his patients that this is a lifetime thing. It's not just a, here's your surgery, have a nice day. No, it requires lifetime follow-up, especially for duodenal switch patients, because their vitamin requirements are so stringent. It's very easy to get into malnutrition and to get in some big trouble if you don't stay on top of your vitamins if you're a DS patient. But my doctor had a document that was his program outline document, And it said in his document that the Postop Program required the patient to come into the office for the first year for different follow-ups. And then after the first year, that the patient had the option to continue to follow up with their primary care doctor. And that was in his mind so they could save some money on like specialist copays and things like that. And also the realistic theory that, you know, sometimes patients' insurance has changed, so it'd be kind of unrealistic to expect them to keep coming back if they didn't have an insurance that would cover the doctor, or that the doctor wasn't in that network. So that was what it said in his outline. But he also stressed that you still got to follow up. If it's not me, you have to follow up with your primary care, but you're going to have to follow up annually for the rest of your life. So we submitted my package to Blue Cross Blue Shield, North Carolina, and they have different levels of how they handle claims. We sent it in for pre-authorization, and they denied. They said that it wasn't medically necessary, and they were very vague. They wouldn't tell my doctor's office any reason for the denial. Well, I'm kind of hard-headed, so I called the insurance, and I wasn't getting a satisfactory answer myself. And in fact, the first person I spoke to said, well, you know, I can't tell you why it was denied. And I said, bull. We pay these premiums. You have to tell me why it was denied. I'm the policy holder. You have to tell me. And if you won't tell me, you're going to transfer me to the person who will tell me. So I got transferred to a lead or a supervisor or whatever, and they told me that it was denied because they didn't see evidence of the 5-year follow-up. So I got in touch with my doctor. My doctor had never filed with this insurance before, so they didn't know. So I basically had to tell them what to say. We requested a courtesy appeal review. It was denied again. We did a courtesy peer review. It was denied again. So then we had to go to the formal appeal process. We filed a formal level 1 appeal, and it was denied again, saying that there was still no evidence of the 5-year minimum follow-up. So I dug and I asked, well, what's the deal? What is it that y'all are denying on? And come to find out that my doctor's office manager requires that their program outline that shows the 1 year with the option to continue follow-up after 1 year with the primary care doctor, the office manager was requiring that document had to be included with all of their insurance filings, including appeals. So I had to call my doctor's office back and tell them, do not send that document back to the insurance. You need to send something that shows lifetime follow-up. So I dictated a contract to them that they actually copied down what I said word for word, made it into a contract, sent it for me to sign in the presence of a witness. I sent it back to them, and then we submitted to the insurance once again. This time we submitted it in a level 2 appeal, which meant outside independent review. And it was a week away from the actual review panel hearing. And I contacted my doctor's office to make sure, hey, this is going to be a telephone review panel. Y'all are going to be there, correct? And you've contacted the insurance to confirm with them that you're going to be there, correct? And they said, no, we haven't done that yet. I said, call them today. The deadline is today. So they called, and the insurance told them we were approved. So it was like the 11th hour before we go to an independent review that they approved it. But it was because I had to fight. I had to advocate for myself, and I had to dig. Study your policy. That is my advice to you. If you are contemplating having any kind of bariatric surgery, before you go to the trouble of booking appointments and setting yourself up for a letdown, read your policy. Don't just read your declarations page or your limits of coverage. Get the actual policy. Get the part where it talks about bariatric surgery, what's covered, and what exactly is required. And don't be afraid to tell your doctor's office what to do as well. Because when I first contacted my doctor's office about having the surgery, Gave them a copy of my insurance policy language. Gave them a copy. They tossed it. They didn't want to read it. Had they read it and had they listened to me from the beginning, we could have skipped the appeals. Don't be afraid to speak up. And that's my insurance story. Right now, I'm just waiting on my doctor's office to receive the actual formal approval letter from my insurance. They should have it by the end of this week. It's Tuesday now, so we should be having it by Friday, maybe Monday, because Monday was this past Monday. Yesterday was a federal holiday, so no mail. Once my doctor receives the letter, has it in their hands, then we can get me booked for surgery.